On the Charles River, set for the first varsity race between the Harvard lightweight men, the Navy lightweight men, and the Delaware lightweight men. With former Harvard lightweight rower Eric Schultz, I'm Bill Spalding. Glad to be with you. This is for the Haynes Cup. Harvard has won 7 of the last 8, but the one they didn't win was last year. So the Crimson trying to take the Haynes Cup back. There is no physical trophy for the time being. It's been slightly misplaced over the last 2 decades, so they want to metaphorically take the trophy back to the boathouse today. Harvard number 4 in the country, Navy number 5 in the country, Delaware number 8 in the country. We have seen close racing all day between the Harvard and Navy crews. Navy won the first 3, the 5V, the 4V, and the 3V, but Harvard took the last one, winning the 2V.
Yeah, it was a great race in the 2V. Obviously, Navy has the Haynes Cup at the moment, but there's been a distinct home course advantage in the Haynes Cup over the years. There's a period of about 10 years from 2001 to 2008 when the home crew won every single year. So Navy, I think Navy's only win on the Charles for the Haynes Cup was in 2003. So this is going to be obviously a tall task for the midshipmen, but this is a great boat, and they could be up to it.
Overall, Harvard has won 42 of 50. They have really gotten up to snuff as a national competitive team at this level. Let's run you through the lineups. We'll start with Harvard. The 4th-ranked Crimson are 5-1 this season, coming off a win in the Big Lynn Bowl last week against Dartmouth and MIT. The coxswain is James Drebin. Andre Dupuis is the stroke. Hunter Wallace sits in seat 7. In seat 6, it's Nick Berry. Then it's Jack Kelly, the Harvard captain, in seat 5. Dan Bridgewater in seat 4. Jordan Rogers sits in seat 3. James Plout in seat 2. David Wexner is the bow for the Crimson. For Navy, the first varsity is coxswain by Grace Albertson. Caden Dom is the stroke. Noah Chaskins in seat 7. Andrew Shutta in seat 6. Austin Trebert in seat number 5. Sam Haber in seat 4. Hank Forsyth in seat 3. Matt Shirley in seat 2. The bow is Enan McEwen. And then rounding things out for the Delaware Blue Hens, ranked 8th nationally, looking for their biggest win so far this season. Delaware sends out a lineup that looks like this. Coxswain is Tristan Snow. Stroke is Cooper Hurley. Then it's Abby Light in 7. Jim McCullough in seat 6. Seat 5 belongs to Nate Seidman. Seat 4, Austin Buck. Then in seat 3, it's Will Roman. Brian Kungels in seat 2. The bow is Will Beardell. So those are your competitors. The green flag is up, and we are set for action in the Varsity 8 race with the Haynes Cup on the line. And here we go. 2,000 meters separating one of these teams from the Haynes Cup trophy. Very good start for Harvard, who's at the bottom of your picture right now. Then it's Navy in the middle and Delaware up top. Look at that. Harvard's taken 3 seats already over the first few strokes.
Yeah, you can tell there's great power in that Harvard boat, but I doubt this race is decided in the first 20 strokes. Both boats are going to have to get down to rhythm and see who can walk out over the course of the full 2,000 meters.
What's the key to a good start like what Harvard just had right there?
It's a lot of timing. The stroke sequence is different for every crew. Different crews have different preferences in terms of how many short strokes they want to take before they get into it. And some athletes are just built for that kind of power better than others. And I've raced with a lot of good athletes that aren't necessarily great in the first 5 strokes, but obviously are great over the course of 2,000 meters.
4-seat lead for Harvard. Navy sits in 2nd. Delaware just behind in 3rd. Harvard coached by Billy Boyce in his first season, spent the last few years as an assistant with the heavyweight team under Charlie Butts, who had previously been the lightweight coach for Harvard before taking over the heavyweight group. 4-seat lead for Harvard still here.
You got a nice lead developing for Harvard coming through the 500. Navy is, I think, holding nicely at this point. It's going to be important for Navy to not let Harvard get too far away before the bridge. The second 500, they're going to have to hold on to them and make sure that they don't break water.
While it looks gray and miserable today, if you are just joining us, the conditions are actually very conducive to good racing. Tailwind today, temperature sitting around 45 degrees, and the river is pretty flat, so we've seen good times, and this could be one of the best times of the year for these crews today. Right now, a 4-seat lead still for Harvard, so Navy's been able to at least peg the margin to 4 seats and hasn't allowed Harvard to stretch it at all over the last couple hundred meters.
boat has more in the tank, and I think you're going to see a lead start to develop for this Harvard crew at that point.
And this is the most competitive Delaware has been so far today. The Blue Hens top boat is basically neck and neck with Navy, only about a seat behind for second.
Yeah, that's a great showing. That's going to push both those boats to be closer to Harvard as well. This is shaping up to be a nice finish.
Harvard still leads. Crimson have about a 5-seat lead. Then it's Navy and Delaware very close for second and third. We head to the 1,000-meter mark with Harvard in front. Now the Crimson have a full 7, maybe now 8 seats as they have inched out again, making that move in the middle 500s.
It's really important for Delaware here to see if they can move into Navy, take 2 or 3 seats in the next 20 or 30 strokes to see if they can push them down the last 500.
Instead, it looks like Navy's actually taken a couple more seats away from Delaware. Navy has 5 seats on Delaware, but Harvard has the full length on Navy right now and is thinking about open water here racing for the Haynes Cup.
So much good power in the middle of that Harvard boat, so many watts. You can see them coming up to MIT in the next 30 strokes. They're just walking away every stroke at this point.
Unofficially at about 325 with Harvard in front. Remember, Navy won this race by about a second last year, so there's a lot of Harvard guys who were in this boat last season looking for payback.
You can tell they definitely remember that moment.
Still a full-length lead for Harvard. They've led the whole way since the opening couple of strokes. Navy's in second. Delaware's in third. Reminder that we'll have the women's heavyweight varsity 8 race coming up next between Radcliffe, USC, and Yale, so stay with us on the Ivy League Digital Network. Harvard still leads here in the men's lightweight varsity 8 race for the Haynes Cup. Navy in second place, locked in at that 1-length deficit. Delaware 5 seats behind Navy in third.
And you know the Harvard coxswain is calling at this point to try to open up open water. It'd be such a great confidence boost for those guys to get open water, but obviously this Navy boat is so tough and they're hanging in right there. And they're not going to let them open.
Yeah, almost to open water with 500 meters to go. Harvard still leading by that length. Navy's kept the margin locked in there, but they haven't been able to gain any ground at all. Haven't put a move into Harvard yet.
And you can tell both boats are starting to raise their rate here. They're going to start their sprint. Harvard loves to start their sprint about 20 strokes after that MIT boathouse.
And now they're stretching the lead. Open water for the first time for Harvard. Navy in second, Delaware in third. Now the day didn't start the way Harvard would have liked with losses at 5V, 4V, and 3V. But it may finish the way they love, a 2V win, and now open water here in first varsity.
Yeah, there are going to be some happy people in Newell Boathouse if this margin holds.
And we expected this to be close. Harvard's trying to turn it into a blowout here. Open water and growing. Delaware's gaining ground on Navy, now only 4 seats behind for second.
Yeah, Delaware's moving in now. They might run out of room. There's only about 30 strokes left, I'd say.
Clock at 5:30 and counting as Harvard strokes forward on its way to the Haynes Cup for the 8th time in 9 seasons. Hear the crowd roaring on the banks of the Charles as Harvard tickets its way to the flag.
What a statement by this Harvard boat.
Harvard finishing its strokes, and the Crimson win the Haynes Cup by open water. Delaware and Navy close for second. And it looks like Navy just sneaks out second place ahead of Delaware, but a dominant win for Harvard in first varsity.
Yeah, that's they're going to feel good about that showing. That's a lot of open water, and also a great showing there from Delaware to push Navy that much. Navy's got some great wins on this season, and I think that Delaware crew is going to gain a lot of confidence from being so close.
So overall, Navy will win the Points Cup as they won 3rd varsity, 4th varsity, and 5th varsity, but Harvard wins the Haynes Cup, and the Crimson move to 6-1 on the season with the win over Navy. Navy falls to 3-2, and Delaware picks up its 4th loss of the year. Up next, we'll have the women's varsity 8 race between USC, Yale, and Harvard. That is next on the Ivy League Digital Network.